Hello, hello, my beauties and bees. Who is ready to get weird with it today? Because we have a fun one, a classic. I'm doing classic stuff, trying to just get my catalog all built up with all the OG 14 topics, and today is no exception because I am visiting one of many triangles, but maybe the most famous triangle. And I'm excited to finally be covering it. We're going to cover all the triangles and stuff, but we're going to start right here with the. Oh, hold on. Where are we? We're going to start right here in Bermuda. And this is the channel we watched before, the in-betweens. I like this lady's narrations, is why I'm here. But so keep up the good work, and we'll continue to give you stuff.
We can't find West. Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean.
December 5th, 1949, a group of 5 fighter planes takes off from their base in Fort Lauderdale for a routine training exercise over the Atlantic Ocean that becomes anything but routine. They are never heard from again.
I've never seen anything like this, man.
It's true. The 1960s and 70s are known as 2 decades of weirdness. The children of
We've
those
never stopped being weird since the 60s. I mean, every generation's weird.
who came home from World War II were becoming adults with a sense of security not known in the U.S. for decades. Yes, the had dawned, and young people started looking.
Butters is a rare orange female cat. Most orange cats are male, like 92% or something. We looked it up a couple weeks ago in Gather, which, yeah, we hang out and Gather, so come hang out with us and Gather sometime too. Bundy Ranch. Hey, now, we're still weird. Yeah, Bree. I'm weird. Look how weird I am. I'm up at 8:30 in the morning talking about giant mystery cats from the 1950s.
Outside themselves, trying to make sense of the universe around them, growing entire movements like Scientology, Earth Day, and pet rocks. Little too much time on their hands. Amid these quests for answers to the unexplained, a then little-known writer, Vincent Gaddis, writes an article
You
for
need to post pictures of your snake. If you have a little cute corn snake, I need to see pictures of it. I'm just saying.
February 1964 edition of Argosy magazine, highlighting a strange area off the coast of Florida where an unusually high number of ships and planes had gone missing. Articles had been written about this area before, with documented cases of strange disappearances occurring as early as the 1880s, but his title, The Deadly Bermuda Triangle, captured the attention of the masses. The article proved to be so popular that the next year, Gaddis expanded this article into a chapter.
You know, this is where, like one of the most heavily trafficked ocean areas in the world. Just saying, so that more ships would go missing there is just statistics.
Of his new book, Invisible Horizons. If that name sounds familiar, he and his book, Invisible Horizons, is featured in 2 of our past videos, on the SS Orang Medan and on the Philadelphia Experiment. Links to those videos in the description below.
We'll have to do the Philadelphia Experiment soon. I'll get to it, I promise. It's on the list.
Add to the growing interest in a seemingly cursed area right off the coast of the U.S., Charles Berlitz's book, The Bermuda Triangle, and Richard Weiner's book, The Devil's Triangle, both out in 1974.
That's a completely different Devil's Triangle than the one I'm familiar with, babe. Just saying.
You have yourself a full-on craze. For those of you who were too busy painting your pet rock in the 70s who don't know what the Bermuda Triangle is, it's a roughly 440 1,000 square mile triangular shaped area of the Atlantic Ocean between Miami, Florida, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the island of Bermuda. Some people even say that the Miami-Bermuda line is actually the east coast of the U.S., but tomato, tomato. And this area is rumored to be the home.
Yeah, we encompass the entire East Coast. Is that the Titanic Heart of the Ocean necklace? Is it? Let me see. No way. No, it's very similar though. The pendant's upside down, or the pendant would be upside down for the Heart of the Ocean. It's the same kind of necklace design though. Like, the Heart of the Ocean looks like that. So it's very similar to what she's wearing here.
Of a disproportionately high number of ships and airplanes going missing. Now, the biggest jewel in the crown, so to speak, of these reported collections of disappearances in the Triangle is Flight 19. On the afternoon of December 5th, 1945, a squadron of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers take off from Fort Lauderdale on a routine training mission. Their task is to complete navigation problem number 1, which is a fairly simple navigation and bombing exercise that will take them out east from the coast to a place called Hen and Chickens Shoals, where they will drop their bombs, then north for a little bit before returning back to Fort Lauderdale. The mission leader is
I
U.S.
should go grab my tin whistle and play some Celine Dion for you. Because I believe that's a tin whistle, not a flute in that song. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it's a tin whistle.
Navy Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, who has over 2,500 flight hours, as well as a tour in the Pacific theater of World War II under his belt. And the other pilots are still in training, but they are far from novices. The 14 men head out about 2:10 in the afternoon.
Right, I don't know how it's disproportionately high. To me, that just seems like that's how it correlates to the traffic. It's like, well, we're going to talk about some, and we'll talk about some of those intersections and stuff, the famous intersections here soon too, famous highways and things that are allegedly have more crashes or disproportionately high crashes. It's like a Texas sharpshooter fallacy, sort of.
Gorgeous weather. Drop their bombs between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and then turn to begin the second leg of the journey, when things quickly get weird. Chatter between the planes seems to indicate that both of Lieutenant Taylor's compasses are on the fritz.
Both my compasses are out, and I'm trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm overland, but it's broken. I'm sure I'm in the Keys, but I don't know how far down. And I don't know how to get to Fort Lauderdale.
The Keys? How is that even possible? Their position has been triangulated to be somewhere north of the Bahamas, nowhere near the Keys. And another plane is heard to say,
I don't know where we are. We must have gotten lost after that last turn.
Efforts to help the squadron find its way back home continue for hours, with each radio transmission getting weaker and weaker until nothing else can be heard. One of the last transmissions that is heard talks about them getting low on fuel, with Lieutenant Taylor instructing the other pilots,
when the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together.
the idea being that if they all ditch into the water close together, they make a bigger target for the rescue team to spot. And by this time, a rescue operation was absolutely underway. Any vessel...
So, this is sort of the cornerstone of the Bermuda Triangle story, is the Flight 19 disappearance, because there was a lot of military aircrafts involved with it. And there was a big rescue mission. It was kind of a big deal, kind of cemented. It was the Kurt Cobain to the 27 Club, right?
In the area, military or merchant is put on alert to look for the wayward planes.
And that's got to be scary, and for everybody involved, that, you know, their squad leader or whatever got them lost, Ooh, someone. Let's go down there and party with Amelia Earhart. Now, Amelia Earhart disappeared in a very similar area of the Pacific, but a lot of the theories about her, I guess it's the Polynesian Triangles where she disappeared at, but that she may have been stranded on one of the Pitcairn Islands and eaten by coconut crabs, which is a pretty vicious way to go down.
And 2 PBM-5 Mariner planes are scrambled to head out and start searching. Unfortunately, by now, the sun has set and that picture-perfect weather did not last. So not only did the squadron probably ditch into...
You say Magnus 3 times, Pragmatic Crystal, and Dr. Tapioca Weasel should appear if you mention magnets.
High waves and rough seas, but the rescue planes are flying straight into it as well in the dark. But I guess the triangle is not yet satiated, because 20 minutes after takeoff, one of those mariners goes radio silent. A merchant ship off the coast of Fort Lauderdale radios in that they just witnessed a burst of flame in the sky in the same area that the mariner is supposed to be. She and her 13 rescuers are never heard from again, and neither are the 14 members of Flight 19. The Navy lost 27 servicemen in an 8-hour period. In the following 5 days, the Navy searched about 300,000 square miles of ocean.
I believe that's the most people lost in any kind of non-combat situation at one time, I believe.
For all 6 missing planes, but not 1 square inch of debris is found from any of the planes. Now, Flight 19 is far from being the first incident of high strangeness in the Triangle. Even Christopher Columbus writes about having compass issues as he sails through the area. Documented cases go back into the 1800s, with cases like the Ellen Austin. The Ellen Austin is a merchant schooner on a routine trip from London to New York. Along the way, it runs into another ship.
So there's if you look though,
That's told London to
the path from London to New York doesn't seem like it would take you through the Bermuda Triangle. It just doesn't seem like that's where it would go.
New York. Along the way, it runs into another ship that's totally fine, but missing its entire crew. Woohoo for them! The law of the sea says finders, keepers. So the captain of the Ellen Austin, Captain Baker, assigns some of his men to climb aboard the empty ship and pilot the salvage ship back to New York with the Ellen Austin. Before they hit the U.S., the 2 ships get separated in a hurricane that's screaming through on its way to slamming the coasts of Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia. By the time the days-long storm is over, the salvage ship is nowhere in sight. Captain Baker sails around for a few days looking for the ship, and against all odds, he actually finds it. As the Ellen Austin rolls up on it one more time, the crew is again gone. So Captain Baker assigns another crew to pilot the ship.
That's pretty wild that 2 crews would disappear on that. I mean, the search the Bikini Bottoms, oh goodness, but that 2 crews would have disappeared within a week's time.
This time the guys say, no way, that thing is cursed. Well, he must have done some hard bargaining because he finally got another crew on the ship. And the 2 ships are on their way once more. However, opposite to the hurricane, this time the water goes so still that both boats are brought to a standstill and a fog rolls in. By the time the fog lifts, the salvage boat is nowhere in sight. This time, Captain Baker listens to his men and sets sail for anywhere but there. Then there's the story of the Star Tiger.
Okay, so on that one, it really seems, I'm not trying to throw shade, but it really does seem forced to loop a trip from London to New York in with the Bermuda Triangle, because that's not in the Bermuda Triangle. It's just not. It's north of the Bermuda Triangle. And it goes through the Sargasso Sea. And the Sargasso Sea has about as much of a reputation as the Bermuda Triangle, all things considered. It's famously tumultuous ocean. hurricanes go through there every season. So, yeah. The Sargasso Sea's no place to mess around.
And the Star Ariel. Both planes are British South American Airways Tudor 4 model planes. The Star Tiger takes off from England on January 30th, 1948, with 31 people on board. The pilot radioed in that he expected to arrive.
Bye, Patty. Have a good one. You gotta run. Look forward to seeing your snack.
In Bermuda at 5 a.m. But the plane never made it. Almost a year to the day later, on January 17th, 1949, the Star Ariel takes off from Bermuda on its way to Jamaica with 20 people on board. Pilot radios in that everything is as smooth as glass. His next transmission is not so smooth. Air traffic control picks up a garbled message about switching to a different frequency, and that's the last thing they hear. No bodies or wreckage is ever found for either plane, and South American Airways promptly stops manufacturing the Tudor 4 model. During World War I,
So it's the overarching factors that this plane was obviously having. I mean, I shouldn't say obviously. The overarching factor seemed to be this plane design. I don't know if there was something specific about it, but like if it got hit by a certain updraft or something, if it caused it to plummet straight down into the sea. I don't know, but
the USS Cyclops is tasked with sailing to Brazil with coal to refuel Allied ships. On its way back home, with 309 people on board, the ship leaves Barbados and is never heard from again. This disappearance is the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history, not involving combat. December 28, 1948, an airborne transport DC-3 airliner carrying 29 passengers and 3 crew members is 50 miles south of Miami. It radios air traffic control to let them know, hey, we're almost there. But the transmission is received in New Orleans. So, obviously...
Oh, I remember this one, yeah. So, how is this Bermuda Triangle? We're in the Gulf of Mexico. We're closer to Mobile, Alabama than the Bermuda Triangle here.
Obviously, they somehow got off course, but the plane never lands anywhere and no wreckage is ever found. The Carol A. Deering...
That's not the Bermuda Triangle, though. That's the Gulf of Mexico. Why not stick to stuff that happens in the Bermuda Triangle?
Is a 5-masted schooner that, on January 31st, 1921, is found run aground in the Diamond Shoals near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, with her crew nowhere in sight.
And outside of the Bermuda Triangle, too, because unless you say, oh, yes, it incorporates the eastern coast of the United States, but then you could rope in. Well, right here we're in the outer shoal, so you gotta get the great ship from the Pilgrims, great ship that went out and never returned. This really big ship that they built and went out to sea, and it was never seen again.
An FBI investigation into the wreck rules out multiple theories as to what happened, including piracy, domestic communist sabotage, and the involvement of rum runners. Okay, I think you get the idea. It's
in the Pacific Bikini Atoll. It's yes, I guess you'd call it the Isle of Bikini, but yeah, Bikini Atoll. That's why they're greedy crabs and mutant starfish. Yeah, they're all radiated.
Is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many places online you can go to look for more extensive lists of mystery if you choose. Maybe I'll even do another episode to cover more of them. Also, it's not even just boats and planes that are at risk in the Triangle. Great Isaac Lighthouse is a 151-foot tall lighthouse built in 1859 in London for the London Exposition of 1862, after which it is disassembled, shipped to the tiny Bahamian island of Great Isaac Cay, about 20 miles northeast of the Bimini Islands, and
At least it's in the Bermuda Triangle this time. We're 12 minutes into a 31-minute video, and so far, at least a third of these have been outside of what is traditionally considered the Bermuda Triangle.
assembled. As an aside, this lighthouse has a legend from a ship that wrecked on the island in the late 1800s, and the only survivor was a baby boy. Locals say the boy's mother, who came to be known as the Gray Lady, still appears occasionally, wailing and looking for her little boy. That legend aside, the lighthouse is...
Ooh, I love a ghost story, though. Yeah, I do like that. The ghost wailing on the shores of near the lighthouse.
manned by two men whose job it is to keep the light shining. But in early August of 1969, a passing ship...
Oh, I like her whole setup is pretty choice, in my opinion.
...notices that the lighthouse isn't lit. A crew is sent to go check on the two lighthouse keepers, only to discover that they're gone. Now, the only way on and off this island is by boat, so it's not like they just decided to leave. Now, I'm certainly not saying that all of these disappearances are due to paranormal causes. Obviously, some are just random acts of nature.
Ooh, we need to cover the Flanagan Lighthouse disappearance too. That's a really interesting mystery. Are y'all familiar with that?
Of the fatal kind. But for those that are a step above being able to be explained by nature, there are a few theories of things that might be going on that we just don't understand. One of those theories is hex clouds. Using satellite imagery, meteorologist Dr. Randy Cervini has discovered these weird hexagonal-shaped cloud formations. Or if you look at the images, they look more like hexagonal absence of cloud images. Now, these things are between 20 and 50 miles wide and form over rough weather and are thought to be formed by microbursts. Microbursts are fast-moving jets of air that rocket down
And she's got a... Okay, I'm gonna let her talk.
from higher in the atmosphere and can be as destructive as a tornado. So if your little 20-foot yacht gets hit by one of these microbursts, you very well could be toast. Another theory is the Hutchison effect, also known as electric fog. If you read through some of these accounts of airplanes that have experienced something unusual in the triangle, very often they talk about flying through a fog and all of their instruments going haywire. Well, a guy named John Hutchison has put forth the theory that the fog...
Electric Fog sounds like a great band name, though, I'm not gonna lie. Bring me cute in the electric fog. Yeah, I'm playing bass.
is actually a cloud formed by electromagnetic fields. So when a plane or a ship passes through it, the electromagnetic fields kind of glom on and follow along, making the instruments go nuts. John claims to have reproduced the phenomena in a lab, making strange things happen, like swirling fog, levitating objects, and objects shooting off at high speed. Of course, there is the ever-popular methane bubble theory. Is it me, or is the methane bubble theory to Bermuda Triangle like the weather balloon theory is to UFO investigations? For those of you who've never heard of this fun little theory, the idea is that there are pockets of methane under the seafloor that, on occasion, let loose some methane gas that then mixes with the water, making it less...
I mean, I will say it's like the swamp gas, the weather balloon kind of thing. But there's things in there's things that can happen on the surface of the Earth that will cause your compass to mess up. Like the Bermuda Triangle stuff really cut back once our technology advanced to where we had like GPS and stuff. All of a sudden these things stopped happening.
Less dense. The less dense water is not dense enough to hold up the ship, which then sinks. Now, I don't argue with the fact that there are methane deposits under the seafloor.
Yeah, I like her layout and stuff. I like the lighting and the candles and yeah. Even the heart of the ocean necklace.
There are many of them mapped all over the world. And if a ship should accidentally float over one of these pockets at the wrong time, they certainly would sink pretty fast. But so fast that they don't have time to send a mayday? Why haven't we heard about this being a factor in missing ships anywhere else? And even so, that doesn't explain the missing airplanes. Now that we've covered the terrestrial ideas, let's talk about some non-terrestrial ideas. One of the first
Let's get weird now. We're gonna get weird. Let's do it.
things I always think about are vortices. Several pilots talk about flying into cloud formations that sound exactly like what you would think a vortex would look like. But
Sounds exactly like what you would think a vortex looks like. Come on now.
unfortunately, we have nothing else to go on. No one except the pilots have ever seen them, and our science isn't advanced enough to know if these things occur naturally. So if vortices are swallowing planes and ships, it's kind of like the perfect murder where the bullet made of ice melts, so no evidence is left behind. But we do have eyewitnesses to plenty of UFO
Right? It's always vortexes. Oh, we're gonna get UFOs now and USOs.
and USO sightings. Would you believe me if I told you that the government might have something to do with them? I thought so. It just so happens that the Navy has an Area 51 all its own. Except this one has its own website. The Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, or AUTEC, is a naval equipment and weapons testing facility located in Androstown in the Bahamas, right on the edge of the Bermuda Triangle. And there are plenty of people who will tell you that the number of UFO and USO, or unidentified submerged object, sightings have gone up dramatically since AUTEC has been around. So are some of these sightings due to some testing going on at AUTEC? Most likely, but not all of them. Back in the 1980s, Kurt Roulette is a member of the Coast Guard. It's night and his boat is patrolling.
But the thing with all of these triangles is that they're basically if you follow the shipping lanes. Oh my gosh, maybe I should pull up a map of that. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so let's see. Here we go. Perfect. Let's see if we can get zoomed in. Perfect. All right. This. Yeah, I got your ad. This is shiptraffic.net. All right. And it monitors the busiest shipping areas in the world. And if we zoom out, you can see that the Caribbean is quite heavily trafficked. And we can actually see all the ships that are just there right now. These are all ships that are alive in the Bermuda Triangle right now. It's crazy how once we can track them, they stop disappearing. What's that all about? Like, you can tell where everyone is right now. Got the Minerva Baltic, the Sinbad, the El Corqui, the Isla Bella, Alfred N. There's two ships there. And there's also the Energy Ariadne. I don't know how you say that. Time at the Navigator, and look at this coast. Look at this coast. They're talking about from Miami, right? So, whoosh, that encompasses everything you see here. All of this is subject to the Bermuda Triangle. All of this out here. All of this right here. Even all the way out to here. Lady K, Resolute, Atlantic Explorer, and the Island Pride. These are cruise ships that are in this alleged triangle. Oh yeah, we got some busyness out here too. Look at all this. All of this. All this traveling around the Bermuda Triangle. So, why did they stop disappearing? Yeah.
off the shores of Androstown. He's on watch duty when his radar guy says that he sees a 3-mile wide island-sized mass appear out of nowhere on their radar where a landmass is not supposed to be. It's like something massive rising out of the water. For perspective, Manhattan is only 2.5 miles wide. About the same time, their compass starts going crazy.
Subsequently, at the same time, the compass began to swing wildly, completely out of control.
After about 3 minutes, the radar targets.
So you got lost and you came on an island you weren't expecting. I get that, right? Oh no, there's 2 magnets. We'll say magnets one more time, and Dr. Tapioca Weasel should appear. I can't tell which conspiracy she's talking about, LOL. Weather machines, aliens, pick a lane, right? It gets pretty wild. Yeah, do I think she'll cover ley lines? I think she does cover ley lines. I think I should cover ley lines too at some point. Ley lines do come in correlation with the haunted highways or whatever that I have listed there in the poll. That was a difficult poll. 3 points where 2 lines meet. Back to toe. Let's go. That's Logan Fisher. One early morning, I saw 3 triangles in a star constellation that did not belong there. As I looked at the triangles, they started to move in geometric forms. You might also note that, Sandy says, you might also note Bermuda is out there with no big ships near it, straight off of the North Carolina coast. Were you looking through a kaleidoscope? Are we talking to John Lovell? Then they each speed out of sight in different directions. Maybe they were drones? I don't know. It's not off the Florida coast. No, it's not, yeah. Bermuda's way out there off North Carolina, but it's the northern point, though. It doesn't hug the U.S. coast. Well, sometimes they'll say it does, but she said something earlier in the video about that. I was whistling Beethoven's 5th Symphony at the time it happened in Florida. I swear I'm not drinking, man. Okay, so you had a UFO experience. That's interesting. Unidentified flying objects, and they were triangles, which are popular sighting among ufologists. So yeah, I'm not trying to discredit you at all. I'd actually, if that's a true story, I'd like to know more about it.
Slowly evaporates, as if whatever was sitting on the surface is slowly sinking back down again, and the compass goes back to normal. Unfortunately, this happened at night, so Kurt can't actually see what the radar says is in front of them. But the event is actually entered into the ship's log as something that really happened.
And that's something that doesn't go into the log unless the captain takes it seriously.
So what I wonder if, like, is there a certain density for a fog bank that the equipment will pick it up as an island temporarily if it has a certain level of density or electromagnetic frequency coming off of it.
This next encounter is even more crazy. It's the evening of August 25th, 2013, when the crew of a United States Customs and Border Patrol plane is taking off for a routine mission in Agadir, Puerto Rico. They notice a strange pinkish light.
Yeah, it's very. And Sandy's got a point. It's very sandy off of this in this part of the ocean too. The bottom is often shifting, and you get up towards the outer banks and stuff, all the way up towards like Nantucket. Well, hell, all the way up towards Nova Scotia. If you want to talk about the Sargasso Sea, all these little sandy islands and sandbars and banks rising and falling. That's something that does happen. I don't know if it happens overnight, though.
Coming in from the northwest, so they turn on their thermal imaging camera to track it. What they see is a bit startling, to say the least. It looks like a metallic sphere flying around the airport. The sphere then heads out over the ocean.
We have UFO! First UFO. We'll have 19 minutes and 17 seconds before we get to UFOs. So we covered, and I appreciate covering all the potentially natural stuff like downdrafts and rogue waves and that kind of stuff. But we have to get into the weird because that's what we're here for.
Where it splashes down into the water and then comes back up a few seconds later. Then it splits into 2 separate spheres. After nearly 4 minutes of flying around, it vanishes. So I don't think anyone can argue that there are some
I've seen the sea eat 30 foot of berm in one storm, just saying. Yeah, like eating the sandbars, just munching them down. Haven't we covered lighthouse? Haven't we covered light over the ocean of NC? I do probably need to do some more UFO stuff. The last UFO video I did was about it was in CrypticCorner though. UFO stuff usually falls in CrypticCorner. The reason this is here is because Bermuda Triangle is a wider theory. But I have sailed in many places in the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, that's our sailor too. Steph is a sailor. So, yeah. I'm glad to hear that you safely passed through the Bermuda Triangle. Did Steph disappear? Yeah, she was never seen again until now. She's actually speaking to us from beyond the triangle.
mighty strange things happening in that area of the world. Can some of those events be explained by natural occurrences? Sure. Take the Ellen Austin. This one could very well just be folklore, because I'm not sure why a ship going from London to New York would sail as far south as Bermuda.
That was my thoughts on it too. I was like, why are you covering the ship if it's not even in the Bermuda Triangle?
And since the ocean current is going the opposite direction, maybe ships dipped a little further south so they didn't have to fight it the whole trip. Who knows? The disappearance of the lighthouse keepers could be explained by her.
There you go. That's a good question for you, Steph. Like, when you are sailing east to west across the Atlantic from London to New York, do you go south towards Bermuda just to follow the currents? Let me know, because I mean the path looks way out of the way to me, but yeah, if the sea carries you through there and it's faster, then it's faster.
Hurricane Anna that swept through the area between August 1st and 2nd. Of course, my first question would be, why would they go outside in a hurricane? Considering how frequently these hurricanes hit the area, I am sure this was not their first rodeo. But let's talk about Flight 19. To me, this one's not so easy to dismiss.
Flight 19 might be my favorite of all the Bermuda Triangle stories, though.
Official explanation is that Lieutenant Taylor had some kind of mental break that caused him to get confused about where he was.
On the pull, the haunted highway has pulled ahead of the Antarctica colonies. So yeah, if you want Antarctica colonies, I'm telling you, it's a crazy story, right? And it involves Polynesians and Telefuegans. You're gonna love it. As far as the haunted highways, yes, it's gonna dip heavily into ley lines and earth energies. So if that's what you're into, go ahead and vote for that one. Now, if neither one of those appeal to you and you like these disappearances, mysterious disappearances and stuff for the Weird With It topics, the lighthouse disappearances are... the best thing about lighthouse disappearances is how all of them are like almost the same, circumstances. But we have so many more topics to cover. Get your vote in before the poll closes. I'm closing the poll at the end of this video, so she's at 20 minutes. She's got about 10 more minutes to go, and with my commentary, that's usually doubled. So you got about 20 minutes.
He is responsible for leading his squad of 14 men to their probable deaths. Not necessarily a far-fetched conclusion. I mean, he thinks he sees the Keys when he's way north of there. And if he thinks he's over the Keys, how does he not know how to get to Fort Lauderdale from there? But the theory goes that he's all turned around, so he accidentally leads the squadron out east into the Atlantic, where they run out of fuel and have to ditch into rough waters. And some people will explain the fact that they stayed together as a group by saying that a pilot always follows their mission leader, which is probably true in a real.
I think that's probably true, that they that if the squad leader says, hey, we got a ditch, that they all ditch together. Let's see. Wouldn't that be going against the Gulf Stream? I would think you would want to stay farther north, but I don't know. If she went south, she'd be traveling with it, Logan, says Sandy. One gateway to have the compass go haywire is to steer barotically. You might have to explain that. I'm not sure what that term means. I'm not a sailor. It goes clockwise. Yeah, am I going clock? Yeah, okay, it looks right. That's going backwards for you guys, though. Yeah, so clockwise is like that. I had to figure out what, since I'm mirrored. So, if it goes clockwise, it's going to be the northern portion of it is going to flow easterly.
World situation. But for this kind of exercise, if one person gets something wrong, they will all fail. So mistakes, even by the flight leader, are sometimes corrected by the other pilots. But since the Navy had no real information as to what really happened, except the sparse radio contact, Lieutenant Taylor's family fought the official findings. They argued that since the cause of the accident is unknown, there's no way to know if it was anyone's fault.
That is kind of true, though. I mean, if I was in this guy's family, I'd be like, I don't want my grandpa to be held responsible for the disappearing of these 14 people if we don't know what happened to them. We don't know that he was actually responsible for their disappearance. It could have been equipment failure. It could have been a lot of different factors.
Lieutenant Taylor's family won, officially clearing his name. The planes never been recovered. Tangent warning: in 1996 and 1992, wreckage from Avengers, like the ones from Flight 19, were found off the coast of Florida, but couldn't be conclusively identified as pieces of Flight 19's planes. In 1991, wreckage from 5 planes were found, but engine serial numbers proved they were not from that flight. Those 5 planes were tracked down and found to have gone in the ocean on 5 different days within 1.5 miles of each other. A deep dive into Navy records discovered that around that time, the time right after World War II, if a plane was declared unfit to fly or obsolete, the Navy would just ditch them in the ocean.
Well, that's kind of that does help with coral reef building, though. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but like sinking ships or planes or things like that in a area of the ocean actually cultivates a coral reef and helps the ecosystem.
Now, one very common thread in a lot of these accounts is reports of compass malfunctions. Many debunkers will tell you, oh, that's a natural phenomenon called compass variation. So there's true north, and then there's magnetic north. Most of the time, compasses point to magnetic north. The difference isn't much, but it's enough to put you off course. So skeptics will tell you that the Bermuda Triangle area is one of those areas that point to true north, which naturally confuses.
Yeah, so all the major oceans are essentially a gyre. The only one that isn't a gyre is, well, it's kind of a gyre in itself too, but is the Southern Ocean, and it goes around the globe. But the Atlantic swirls in the north and south, 2 separate gyres, and the Pacific swirls in the north and the south in 2 separate gyres, and the Indian Ocean only has 1 gyre, I believe. But at the center of all of them, there are big garbage patches, which are man-made and thousands of feet deep. Just of junk floating in the ocean. Is disgusting.
Is whoever is reading the compass. The only problem with that theory is that it's not true. Even the U.S. Navy says so, giving a statement that says,
It has been inaccurately claimed that the Bermuda Triangle is one of the two places on Earth at which a magnetic compass points towards true north. Normally, a compass will point toward magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation. Although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region due to fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field, this has apparently not been the case since the 19th century.
it's actually called the agonic line, the area where magnetic north and true north are the same direction. And it moves over time as magnetic north moves over time. And right now, that line is over the Gulf of Mexico. So all those reports of malfunctioning compasses
The Mexican Triangle now. The Gulf of Mexico Triangle. Can we do that?
have nothing to do with compass variation. They are not natural occurrences.
Yeah, but
Since
Steph
we
said
are
something.
debunking the debunkers, let's talk about another frequently repeated line of reasoning that goes something like this.
What about the beradically? If you steer beradically, I don't know what that means, but my sailor in my side chat says that can cause the compass to malfunction.
A check of the records at the well-known insurance company Lloyd's of London by the editor of Fate magazine in 1975 showed that the Bermuda Triangle area of the Atlantic was no more dangerous or accident-prone than any other area. And the Coast Guard records confirm the same thing. However, Lloyd's of London is not in the business of insuring small things like yachts and small aircraft. So none of those reports are going to show up in the records of Lloyd's of London.
Yeah, but literally insurers will go off of the folklore because that will affect the market. Even if this place is actually more dangerous, if it has a reputation for being dangerous, it doesn't matter. It's like a red car. Red cars are not more dangerous than any other car, but the insurance premiums on a red car are higher because people who drive red cars tend to drive faster. So it's correlation, right?
The Coast Guard is actually a better source for that kind of information since they report on all calls, no matter what type of vessel. The Coast Guard breaks up the country into districts. The Bermuda Triangle area is District 7. Let's compare District...
Oh no, Steph, I'm just glad you're here. I'm so happy to see ya. I got a lot of my favorite people in the chat today. Love you guys. Shortest route is Great Circles, which is northerly, north routes in the age of sail were south to south of the Canaries to the trades and the northerly route bag. Any large bodies of water will do, Brie. They all have a story. That's true.
District 7 to District 1, which is the New England area, because both districts get about the same amount of calls for assistance each year. But the number of disappearances in District 7 is far higher than District 1. And here's the next question. How many
That's
of those...
because that Nova Scotia Coast Guard system that they got up there is badass. The rescue, the New England, the systems they have in place to make sure, because, I mean, you can say that, oh yeah, there's not as many wrecks, but there were. They just littered the whole New England coast with lighthouses and radio stations because they wanted to prepare for the devastation that ocean up there can wreak on the sailors. Now, in the Bermuda Triangle, there's less infrastructure there because it's mostly just open ocean. So yeah, their rescue services are not going to be necessarily as efficient as the coastal ones of New England and Maine. Just my thoughts on it.
Disappearances happened in fair weather. That's what makes the disappearances in the Triangle
The prawns disappeared from District 9. Love it.
so mysterious. The high percentage of people going missing when there is no storm to blame. So here's the thing. It's not just that boats and planes disappear. That happens for all kinds of reasons: storms, pirates, maybe even methane bubbles. The Bermuda Triangle remains a mystery because of those cases that have no explanation. Cases
See,
like
she always sticks to the methane bubbles because it's the one that sounds the most ridiculous, but rogue waves are probably a big part of the problem in the Bermuda Triangle. Rogue waves, and also, this is hurricane, the sea. This is the ocean where hurricanes are. They come through the Bermuda Triangle and move north into the Sargasso, almost uniformly, unless they dip completely west into the Gulf.
like these. On November 3rd, 1978, Irving Rivers, a pilot for Eastern Caribbean Airways, leaves St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands in a Piper Navajo. Irving is an experienced pilot and is flying alone to St. Thomas to pick up some passengers. Visibility is good, temperatures.
Yeah, how do pirates attack a plane though? I want to be a plane pirate. Like throw hooks out onto the other plane, attach yourself to it, like sort of like one of those refueling ships, except for you what'd you say? Board the ship, board the plane.
Are warm. It is a beautiful day. Radio communication during the flight is fine, and as he nears the airport in St. Thomas, the plane is cleared for landing. The controller looks out the window and sees the plane's red and green lights blinking about a mile out as it makes its approach. The controller turns his attention to another plane that's taking off. When he looks back toward Irving's plane, the controller can't see the plane's lights anymore, and it's disappeared from the radar. An emergency search effort is launched.
How does a rogue wave attack a plane? Touche. Depends on how low they're flying, I guess. Rogue waves can be pretty high. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure variations too. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that are going to come into play.
But nothing, not even wreckage, is ever found. December 22nd, 1967, a 23-foot luxury cabin cruiser yacht named Witchcraft leaves Miami with its captain, Dan Barak, and his friend, Father Patrick Horgan. The two guys just want...
You put a Father Patrick Horgan on a plane called Witchcraft and expected everything to go fine.
Want to go out like a mile offshore so they can enjoy the fantastic view of the Christmas lights in Miami. However, once they get there...
I have heard the Christmas lights in Miami are fantastic when seen from sea, but...
Dan puts in a call to the Coast Guard to let them know that he hit something. There doesn't seem to be any major damage, but they would like some assistance just in case. The Coast Guard gets going right away and reaches the Witchcraft's location in 19 minutes. But the spot where the boat should be is deserted, with no signs of any boats having been stranded or ever having been there at all. This particular boat comes equipped with life jackets, lifeboats, flares, and distress signal beacons. But none of those life-saving devices are apparently used. Over the next few days, the Coast Guard searches hundreds of square miles of the ocean, but nothing from the ship has ever been found. Or how about this one? Halloween, 1991. This one is a little...
From Witchcraft to Halloween, here we go.
Further east of the triangle's usual boundaries, but I think it is worth noting. The pilot, John Verdi, and his trained...
We're leaving the triangle again?
Co-pilot Paul Lucaris are out over the Gulf of Mexico heading toward Tallahassee, Florida in a Grumman Cougar jet. John calls the flight center to request a higher altitude so they can fly...
It's on the other side of Florida. It's not just a little bit east of the Bermuda Triangle. It's in the wrong body of water.
Over the thunderstorm that has snuck in front of them. Flight center says, no problem. And the turbojet starts ascending from its 25,000 feet to its new assigned altitude of 29,000 feet. Perfect. All seems normal as they climb in altitude, breaking through the cloud cover into the beautiful, sun-drenched cloud tops. Flight control waits patiently for the Cougar to finish its climb, tracking it on radar the whole time, until the Cougar's radar marker just fades away.
The aliens got him. It's always aliens. Aliens are the answer. If you sail due east from Marblehead, you will hit Nova Scotia.
Center tries to hail either John or Paul on the radio, but no one responds, and no SOS is received to indicate that they had any problems. But the truly mystifying part is that the radar also does not see the Grumman Cougar descending, as in falling into the sea. There's no sudden loss of altitude. They just disappear from the radar while they're climbing, like they just faded away.
Maybe they climbed too high and drifted off into space.
The storm hampers the search for a short while, but when searchers do reach the area, no trace of the plane or its passengers is ever recovered. So, as long as boats and planes keep disappearing for absolutely unexplained reasons, the Bermuda Triangle will continue to be real.
The story you just told us, and I think about a third of the stories that you've told us so far, were completely outside of the range of the Bermuda Triangle. Do you have stories that actually take place in the Bermuda Triangle anymore? I mean, some of these did, but the majority of this, what you were talking about, you get stuff in the Gulf of Mexico and the Sargasso, not the Bermuda Triangle.
Every time I read...
All right, so... And this channel is, again, the in-between. She does a lot of, well, I'll check and see if she does ley lines. I don't like to cover the same channel over and over again, though. I like to bounce around. It's, doesn't look like really that there's anything specific to ley lines. We got Wendigo. Of course, you gotta have the Wendigo. But I really did like this ship tracking thing. I like finding stuff like this. Yeah, there's this area out here is pretty empty. But the Bermuda Triangle is supposed to go from Miami to Bermuda down to was it Barbados? Yeah. And that puts all of this stuff in the shipping lane. You can see the southern, like coming off of Africa here, Cape Verde, going towards the Atlantic, or towards the Caribbean. Yeah, I really did like this. Look at all this up here and freaking the Arctic. Love it. And there's stuff in Australia. There's a triangle here. So there's a gyre here. I believe it goes like this. Yeah, so it makes a rotation like that. And then there's one down here that goes like this. And then this one goes just across, right? Just persistently. And that's why this area of the ocean is so dangerous to cross through right here. Right here. It's so dangerous because it's the narrowest portion of the Southern Ocean. It's kind of a bottleneck where the seas get really rough. And then there's a gyre out here for the Pacific and a gyre down here for the South Pacific. And then the Indian Ocean has its own gyre. Yeah. And these are, I mean, these aren't live. There's a couple hours out, but it shows you where things were. Anyway, super cool piece of technology. But what do you guys think? I finally covered the Bermuda Triangle. Let's end the poll right now. Y'all are wanting to talk about haunted highways and ley lines next week, and I'm here for it. So we will find something for that for you. No problem at all. Thank you for joining me as we get a little weird with the Bermuda Triangle today. If you have any thoughts of your own regarding the triangle or the legends around it, leave it in the comments down below. Let me know. If you disagree with my assessment that the triangle is actually not all that special in comparison to any other region of the ocean that's heavily trafficked. If you disagree with that, let me know. Tell me why you think that's true. But please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time.